Did you know that slugs and glowworms played a key role in World War I? Or that a book smuggling trade saved the oldest surviving Indo-European language? These are just a few of the jaw-dropping facts you definitely won't learn in school. And, that's what got me. From the actual science behind toast always landing on its buttered side, to all the hideous things you never want to know about flatworm mating, I've got you covered. Interested? Well, I'm Mike with List 25, and here are 25 fascinating facts you won't learn in school. 25. Naughty used to mean something different. The word naughty wasn't always about mischief and mayhem. A long time ago, it actually referred to something far less playful. Poverty. Yep, naughty originally described people who had naught to their name. Over time, it took on a harsher meaning, implying that these people also lacked morals. By the 1600s, though, it shifted again, losing the poverty connection and becoming all about behavior. That's when it turned to the word we know today, a way to call out kids, and sometimes adults, for bad behavior. 24. The same goes for nice. Since it's almost that time of year when everyone's hoping to stay on the nice list, actually we've passed that. Happy holidays, everyone. It's funny to think that nice didn't always mean what it does today. Back in the 13 and 1400s, it was actually an insult. Calling someone nice was basically saying they were ignorant. Over time, though, people began to use it to describe luxury and fancy high society types who were overly focused on being polite. Eventually, it softened into the word we use today for anything pleasant. Nice. And a region in France, but not pronounced that way. 23. Why toast always ends with the buttered side down? We all know toast lands butter side down. But why? Maybe it's karma, bad luck, or just the universe keeping us humble. Luckily, physicist Robert Matthews figured out the science behind it, and no, the butter being heavier is not a culprit. It's actually all about physics. When toast falls from a standard table height, which actually kind of down here, you can see my hands better here, it rotates at a steady speed due to gravity and its center of mass. The issue? It doesn't have enough time to complete a full flip, so the butter side ends up on the floor. Matthews actually went on to win a Nobel Prize in 1996 for all his troubles. 22. There's a whale skeleton that's still leaking oil. If you visit the New Bedford Whaling Museum in Massachusetts, watch your step. One of their star exhibits, a 66-foot blue whale skeleton named Kobo, king of the blue ocean, is still dripping oil 26 years after its death. The museum even had to install a special funnel system to catch the oil before it hits the floor. Kobo's story began in 1998 when it was struck by a tanker propeller. After scientists stripped away the flesh and cleaned the bones, oil from its bone marrow still remained. Whale oil helps these giants stay buoyant and acts as an energy reserve, so it's no surprise that it's still oozing. In fact, Kobo has leaked over a liter so far and is expected to keep dripping until 2060. 21. Scientists are using DNA to control rats. Scientists are using CRISPR, a gene editing tool, to find better ways to manage rat infestations without harming the species as a whole. Their goal is to tweak the genes of rats in problem areas so that they have mainly male offspring, gradually reducing their numbers. Another approach involves using RNA technology to target the traits that make rats so good at spreading. CRISPR has already been used to treat genetic disorders in mice and human embryos. Now, experts hope it can help control rat populations in a way that's effective and doesn't disrupt ecosystems. 20. The Soviet space cannon. During the Cold War, the Soviets secretly developed a weapon that could be fired in space, the R-23M Kartek cannon. Designed by Aaron Richter, this beast of a gun could fire 200-gram shells at 690 meters per second with thousands of shots per minute. After its construction, the cannon was installed on the Almaz space station, where it was even test-fired, firing 20 shells in the atmosphere while using jet thrusters to counter the recoil. The results? Well, actually, those are still classified. But when the Soviets updated Almaz, they swapped out the cannon for interceptor missiles, so I guess they wanted an even bigger bang. 19. A king tried to make a rhino and an elephant fight to the death. In the early 1500s, King Manuel of Portugal became the proud owner of Europe's first rhinoceros in over 1,000 years. The incredible gift caused a frenzy, inspiring everything from public spectacles to wildly inaccurate art featuring rivets, scales, and a random horn on the rhino's back. But King Manuel had bigger plans. He was curious about the ancient claims that rhinos and elephants were mortal enemies, so he staged a fight between his new rhino and a captive elephant. The result? A complete flop. Both refused to engage. Embarrassed, Manuel gifted the rhino to the Pope. Sadly, the rhino drowned when the ship in which it was being transported sank, and it never made it to Rome. 18. The unlikely heroes of World War I. Glowworms and slugs were some of the most unexpected contributors to World War I. Glowworms, kept in jars, provided light in the trenches, making it easier for soldiers to read letters, maps, and reports. Slugs, however, had an even stranger role: detecting mustard gas. After testing various animals, the US Army discovered that slugs could sense incredibly tiny amounts of the gas, just one particle in 10 to 12 million, long before it became harmful to humans. So whenever the slugs showed discomfort, soldiers knew it was time to put on the gas masks. 17. The oldest water in the universe. The oldest known water was discovered in 2011, and it, wasn't here on Earth. The ancient vapor cloud, located 12 billion light years away, is also the largest mass of water ever detected, 140 trillion times the volume of all Earth's oceans combined. And if you aren't impressed yet, you should also know that the cloud surrounds a supermassive black hole with the ever so graceful name APM 08279 plus 5255, which radiates more energy than a quadrillion suns. Must be Elon Musk's kid. 16. The wildest duel in nature. Flatworms may look like scraps of colorful silk while they're drifting in tropical oceans, but don't let their beauty fool you. They're total weirdos. Like many creatures, they're hermaphrodites, having both male and female sex organs. When it's time to mate, two flatworms rise up and duel with their pointy penises, each trying to inseminate the other. The loser, if you can call it that, gets stuck carrying the eggs. Scientists have even given this bizarre battle the perfect name: penis fencing. Yep, that's a real thing. 15. The world's tiniest frogs got the world's cutest names. Taxonomic names can be a mouthful. Take the lion, officially known as Panthera leo. It sounds flowery, right? But a team of German scientists kept it refreshingly simple when naming the genus of tiny frogs found in Madagascar. They called it Minnie. And yes, these frogs live up to the name. Each species comes with an equally adorable title: Minnie Mum, Minnie Ature, and Minnie Skule. They're so small they can fit on your fingernail with plenty of space left over. That's adorable. 14. Dolphins speak whale in their sleep. Dolphins might have more in common with humans than we thought. They sleep talk. But their version is like an English speaker sleep talking in French. They seem to be doing it in whale. According to Live Science, researchers observed dolphins in aquariums making whale-like sounds late at night, even though they'd only ever heard those noises as recordings during daytime shows. Their behavior suggests that dolphins may replay their daily experiences in their head, including the pre-recorded whale sounds. That's my whale sound impersonation. I am not a dolphin. 13. George Washington gifted someone his hair. These days, locks of hair are usually saved by sentimental moms as keepsakes of their babies. But in the 18th century, gifting hair was a respectable and surprisingly common gesture. In 2018, an archivist at Union College found an old almanac from 1793 belonging to Philip Schuyler. Inside was an envelope labeled Washington's hair, containing a few yellow-gray strands. Experts confirmed it came from Washington himself. The hair probably passed from Washington to his close friends Alexander and Eliza Hamilton, then to the Schuyler family, who later donated it with the book. 12. Scientists have discovered the cutest and meanest baby octopuses on one piece of plastic. In 2018, scientists monitoring coral reefs near Hawaii's Kolokohonokohau National Historical Park discovered a piece of floating plastic with two tiny octopus stowaways. One of the babies was pure charm, pea-sized, freckle arms with big expressive eyes. Its photo, posed near a researcher's fingertip, quickly went viral for being impossibly cute. The second baby? Not so much. This one was caught red-handed, or tentacled, throttling a tiny crab to death. I kid you not. Cute and cutthroat, these cephalopod hitchhikers were later released into a protected area where hopefully the crab population didn't suffer too much. 11. You can throw a needle through glass. Now, don't try this at home, kids. Shaolin monk Feng Fei took martial arts to a new level by throwing a needle through a pane of glass without shattering it. The needle had so much force, it popped a balloon on the other side. In slow motion, you can see what's happening. Sometimes the needle pierces straight through, while other times it cracks the glass and small shards fly out to burst the balloon. Here's the science behind it. Glass is surprisingly strong when pressure is spread out, but it becomes fragile once it starts to crack. The needle, being rigid and sharp, focuses all its force on one tiny spot. If thrown hard enough, it cracks the glass, and from there, it takes, very little extra force to push it through. 10. The rare magic of a leap day full moon. A full moon on leap day, February 29th, is an incredibly rare event. Leap day only happens every 4 years to keep our calendar aligned with Earth's orbit, and syncing it with the lunar cycle is no small feat. In fact, this special event has only occurred a handful of times in history: 1504, 1600, 1752, 1820, and most recently, 1972. If you're too lazy to do the math, that's about twice every 236 years. Looking ahead, the next leap day full moon will shine in 2048, with the following ones in 2124 and 2268. Well, I'll hopefully be around for one of those. All three if I try hard enough. 9. Book smugglers saved a language. Books have always been a favorite target of tyrants, and the Russian czars were no exception. In the late 19th century, after taking control of Lithuania, they tried to erase the country's culture by banning all Lithuanian writings. But they didn't count on the determination of Lithuanian communities abroad. From Prussia and the US, Lithuanians printed over 3 million books and papers in their language and smuggled them into Lithuania, often hidden in hay, furniture, or even coffins. Smugglers swam across rivers, carried 80-pound loads, and risked torture or exile to Siberia. But it paid off. Their bravery ended up saving Lithuanian, the oldest surviving Indo-European language. 8. Tsar Nicholas XI had a dragon tattoo. Now, speaking of Russians, the last Tsar, Nicholas II, wasn't exactly an imposing figure. Standing at just 5'6" or 1.67 meters, he was smaller than most of his Romanov ancestors. But what he lacked in stature, he made up for in bold choices, like getting a massive tattoo. In 1890, while visiting Japan, Nicholas decided to have a dragon tattoo inked onto his right forearm. The design took 7 grueling hours to complete, from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m., and was likely meant to symbolize power and strength. 7. Zoo animals are joining the cannabis revolution. Cannabis is becoming a surprising ally in zoo animal care, treating everything from pain and inflammation to anxiety and stress. Veterinarians have used CBD and THC on species ranging from elephants and lions to ferrets and parrots. That rhymes. One notable case was for that of Nydia, an Asian elephant in a Mexican wildlife park who struggled with chronic foot pain and poor appetite, until CBD came into the picture. The first sign it was working? A serious case of the munchies. Within days, she went from barely eating a third of her food to finishing it all. The use of cannabis still faces legal and research hurdles, but if you ask me, happier, hungry animals sounds like a win. Hungry, hungry hippos. 6. Our lifespan is capped at 150 years. In 2021, scientists crushed our dreams of immortality by declaring that human lifespans have a hard limit: 150 years. Sure, it's a huge jump from the US average of 74 for men and 80 for women, but it's still nowhere near forever. Researchers analyzed medical data from over 500,000 people to pinpoint the age when the body can no longer repair itself from everyday stresses like injuries or illnesses, and concluded that between 120 and 150, the body hits a breaking point where it simply can't recover. While therapies to keep the body resilient could theoretically push us beyond this limit, developing treatments that extend life while maintaining quality of life is just not feasible right now. And there go my plans to see the other 2 full moons on leap years. Dang it. 5. The ultimate sibling rivalry. If you thought your sibling rivalry was bad, it's got nothing on Adolf and Rudolf Dassler. Their feud didn't just split the family, it created 2 warring sportswear giants, Adidas and Puma. The rivalry began during World War II when Rudolf accused Adolf of drafting him into the military to take control of their shared company. Things only got worse after the war, with each brother trying to smear the other's Nazi affiliations. By 1948, the split was official. Adolf created Adidas, and Rudolf started Puma. The animosity ran so deep that when Rudolf was on his deathbed in 1974, he asked to see Adolf, and Adolf refused. 4. New Orleans' French Quarter is surprisingly Spanish. Despite its name, New Orleans' French Quarter is more Spanish than French. When the French established the area in 1717, they built it in their native style. But after France ceded Louisiana to Spain in 1763, everything changed. 2 devastating fires in 1788 and 1794 destroyed nearly all of the original French architecture, which relied on flammable materials like straw and hay. When it came time to rebuild, the Spanish used their own architectural style, prioritizing materials and designs that were, less prone to fire. As a result, most of the French Quarter's iconic look owes its charm to Spanish ingenuity. 3. When animals fall from the sky. We've all heard of strange things falling from the sky, like fish in Honduras or birds in Mexico, and let's just leave spiders out of the equation. But in 2007, the small town of Jennings, Louisiana experienced something truly bizarre. As locals went about their day, clumps of worms started falling from the sky. Yeah, it rained worms. The likely culprit was a waterspout ripping through the nearby Lacassine Bayou. Officials believed it sucked up worms from the muddy ground, carried them miles through the air, and, dropped them on Jennings. Take that, Jennings. Dear Lacassine. No, sincerely Lacassine. I screwed up that joke. Whatever. Just move on. I tried. 2. From 2.5 million to 334 million. On July 4th, 1776, the U.S. was home to just 2.5 million people. Today, that number has skyrocketed to over 334 million. And that figure is growing faster and faster. In just 61 years, from 1960 to 2021, the population grew by 83.7%, jumping from 180.67 million to 331.89 million. So, if all roads once led to Rome, I think it's safe to say they now lead to New York City. 1. The SFD. Here at List 25, we teach you everything. Like today's number 1 item. Have you ever heard of an SFD? Some names are so complex and convoluted they lose all meaning. And then there are the names that are as straightforward as they come. This is definitely one of those. An SFD is a technical drawing used to plan and improve sanitation and sewage systems, primarily in developing countries. Its main goal is to help planners prevent waste from contaminating drinking water and other waterways. That's because, let's be honest, no one wants that in their river. So, what does SFD stand for, you might be asking? Shit flow diagram. Yep, the vital tool in keeping waterways clean has a name that's as direct as its purpose. I guess poop just didn't cut it. And that's a wrap. If you enjoyed learning about worm rain, royal tattoos, or, SFDs, don't forget to like and subscribe for more fascinating content. Or if you're into true crime, check out our sister channel, Dark Roast Detectives, where we take a closer look at some of the most infamous crimes in history. You don't want to miss it. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.